Hey, shalawam, shalawam. Salakia for the interference. He's spiritual demon Satan, and these wicked forces at work. You know, so you already know how it go. Not aiding the Satan devices, but this is another installment. All right, of this lesson going into these worldwide events. You know, further leading us up into the downfall of this devil, Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, in the beginning of our rulership. All right, in regards to these global reports of contention, commotion, and strife, and oppression on a worldwide scale. All right, economically affecting people. You know what I'm saying? As a result, you know what I'm saying, of this engineered warfare, you know, through this World War III algorithm. So Salakia, once again, for the interference, we YAHAWAH tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen back, and Rothschilds make this pretty concise and straightforward. And Rothschilds, this is for edifying, exhorting to elect. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up where I left off and bring out a few more articles. All right, so yeah, so I was actually speaking on you know, how you know, you have Finland and Sweden being threatened by Russia. All right, for them entertaining the idea of joining NATO. All right, and as a result of Russia's deadline on Friday, where these European nations that heavily rely on Russian energy had to meet the deadline to accept the purchasing of the Russian ruble in exchange for these international commodities, or these commodities that they export. All right, that they, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine make up 2/5 of which, all right, that are imported. So now in this article in The Guardian, it says Germany close to gas rationing as it activates emergency fuel plan. It says fears of a showdown with Putin have led the economic minister to form a crisis team and encourage consumers to reduce consumption. It says Germany and Austria moved a step closer to gas rationing on Wednesday after activating an emergency plan designed to help it cope with any disruption in supplies from Russia. All right. It says amid fears of a looming showdown with Vladimir Putin over gas flows, Germany's economy minister Robert Habeck convened a crisis team and warned consumers and businesses to reduce consumption, telling them every kilowatt hour counts. You see, so they don't sound like a nation that's so adamant about to turn away from, you know, Russian reliance on their energy. And that's why on one of my, you know, past lessons through the Spirit, you know, I brought out, the Spirit had me bring out that Germany, all right, is in a quagmire, man. All right, because they're a top NATO country, but they heavily rely on Russian energy. All right, for one, that is cheaper, and that's why the India rupee payment system, or currency rather, you know, all right, is in conjunction, or in the works of being conjoined with the Russian ruble. Okay, to further strengthen the newly established payment system or payment structure on behalf of the BRICS Union, man. All right, because essentially this is all designed to have U.S. and NATO looking on the outside, on the outside looking in regards to international trade. All right, and a flourishing of these opposing economies of the U.S. and NATO. All right. So now it says here, as Europe's largest economy, Germany is one of the EU members most reliant on supplies from Kremlin-controlled reserves, making it particularly vulnerable if the taps are turned off. All right. So that's pretty much says Putin has demanded that unfriendly countries pay for gas exports in rubles, a retaliation against the West for imposing crippling sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. He said, and this is the Speaker of the lower house of the Russian Parliament, Vyacheslav Volodin, and he said, if you want gas, find rubles. The Speaker of that lower house of the Russian Parliament said on Wednesday. G7 nations have so far rejected the demand, creating an impasse that has put Europe on alert for a gas supply crunch, all right, because they are NATO affiliated, further pushing this fourth industrial revolution, okay, through blockchain technology. All right. And that's why this demon, let me pull this article up. On behalf of the IMF, had, further reported or further proclaimed to the world that as a further result of sanctions on Russia, that would further result in the need of pushing the CBDC system. And this was the whole aim the whole while, man. You use this blockchain tech to bring HIP, the Charagma. So Marx Insider says sanctions on Russia could eat away at global dominance and boost the use of crypto. I has said recently, okay, regarding the end of the dominance of the dollar. Now, being that U.S. and NATO, okay, further represent the IMF, all right, in regards to, the international scale of things, why would she admit that? All right, because because this is all being manufactured by their puppets, their puppet masters, okay, the wicked central bankers, right? The throne of iniquity, all right, and that's why, on this article here, on the Guardian, on shithitthefan.com, to why Germany's gas food prices are skyrocketing. It says Germany increased food prices 20 to 50% today. They increased also 50%. This news comes just days after reported the highest inflation in a generation, with February headline consumer price index soaring at 7.6% annual pace and blowing away all expectations. It says, according to a report on Zero Hedge, this inflation is giving locals a distinctly unpleasant deja vu feeling. Even before the Russian invasion of Ukraine broke what few supply chains remained and sent prices even higher into the stratosphere. Now, why it's through the spirit to mention deja vu, because throughout the course of history, this has always happened, man. Like back in the early 90s, when Bosnia declared independence from Yugoslavia, you had NATO further intervene in that attempted coup, all right, to back up the ethnic group that the Bosnian Muslims were opposing. Now, oddly enough, Salaki, the so-called Bosnian Muslims, all right, that were being, conspired against for so-called ethnic cleansing, all right. In regards to the Bosnian Muslims of Bosniak, all right, and you had the Serbs, the Bosnian Serbs, okay, that were seeking to cleanse, or quote unquote cleanse, that region. Okay, the only reason why you had NATO support the Bosnian Muslims is to further play hero. This is what these devils do. Okay, and this is part of their track record. All right, and these nations are aware of it. All right, and what happened down there in Bosnia within that 3-year coup attempt from 92 to 95? Okay, you had a great economical, despair situation transpire where there was great economic woes happening, man. Okay, all right, you had a sedition amongst men. You had people starving. You see why? Because Esau was involved, man. You see that? There's an ongoing pattern with this devil, man. Okay, but people, certain people choose to neglect what they choose to neglect because the truth hurts, man. This devil, all right, the self-proclaimed white man is disease of the earth, and everything that he's involved in, okay, all right, is contaminated, man. Okay, it's death ridden, and that's why these Germans' gas prices going up, man. All right, because they have partook, all right, into the consumption of the wine of Babylon the Great, man. This Western philosophy and foreign policy, all right, and it's further compromising their own sovereignty, man. Okay, including their economies. And that's going to further result in more uproars, all right, against these devils, man. Against these vile, corrupt governments, all right. And that's why you have food rationing going on. That's why you have the reports of gas rationing going on, because they're further preparing for the uproars of the people, man. Okay, because by way of these people further finding out these devils are weaponizing these natural resources to control the people, man, to ultimately control the masses, all right, through the CHIP, all right. So this is a further sign for things to come, all right. So it says, according to a report by Zero Hedge, this inflation is giving locals a distinctly unpleasant deja vu feeling even before the Russian invasion of Ukraine broke what few supply chains remained and sent prices even higher into the stratosphere, all right. So, says while the mainstream media is continuing to blame inflation on the conflict in Ukraine instead of the disaster of central banking, people all over the world are beginning to care less and less about the why and more about how they will put food on the table. I was watching this platform on YouTube called Full Spectrum, and he was going into how he was in the bank with his wife, and then some woman came in and she was complaining about how she only had $18 in her bank account as a result of hyperinflation, man. You see? So people are suffering, man. All right. And so I'm going to get this next precept. I'm going to get these next precepts because this devil is controlling the world through usury, okay, which is what debt is in a modern day sense, which is wickedness, man. So when you lend somebody some money and you require interest, that's wicked as hell, man. And that's what they do with our taxes, all right. Well, including the wages they garnish before we even get paid. You see, then we got to wait a certain amount of time to get the garnished wages that they tax. Then we got to pay them taxes with these garnished wages, man, or face tax evasion, man. That is wicked as hell, man. You see, and it's only going to get worse from here, all right? Because this is not the end of stagnation, inflation, hyperinflation, shrinkflation, and so forth. Okay. So back in St. Matthew 24:8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay. All right. Great report, reports of great reports of famine. Okay. Pestilence, people dropping dead by way of no longer being able to afford the medical supplies. Okay. That are majorly petroleum based. Meaning what? That Russia, all right, is flexing their so-called guns and literally and figuratively because they know, all right, America's power structure has a ceiling on it. See? So I can't control what this devil is doing. They keep fucking with the app. So I'm not gonna make this too much longer. You know what I'm saying? But we you know what I'm saying? We're not ignorant of these devil devices, man. All right. Obviously I'm doing something right. And they don't want this information coming out, man. But it's all gravy. You know what I'm saying? Adam Ratazah, you Akim Akwat to further edified and exhorted. But I'm going and I'm not gonna make this too much long. I'm just gonna hit some precepts and bring out a few more articles and close this down now, Adam Ratazah. All right, so I'm grabbing that piece of Job 21. And I'm going to get verse 17. Job 21:17. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft cometh their destruction upon them? The Most High distributed sorrows in his anger. So Most High is putting he's putting the candle of the wicked out, man. All right, in which the source of his strength is his candle, his so-called illumination. Okay, his light, which is symbolic of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and which in his case is essential and devilish, man, pursuing St. James, the 3rd chapter. Okay? All right, because his knowledge, his wisdom, knowledge, understanding is contrary to the righteous instruction of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. All right, because the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, is not at all in his thoughts, like it says in Psalm 10:4, man. All right, and his empire is further indicative of his wicked, vile, profane rulership. Okay? And even some of his own NATO EU allies are taking notice, man, how vile and conniving his devil is. Okay, well, he despises his own people. You see why? Because of the spirit of bondage is wearing off, man. That wicked carving cast of the entire earth, that utter darkness, okay, of Babylon the Great, and her wine is wearing off over the earth, and these people are starting to sober up spiritually off of this wine, and they're starting to look at this devil as more of a spectacle, okay, and more of a gazing stock, like it's prophesied in Nahum 3:6, because the self-proclaimed white man has lost all credibility. Okay, because his only source of strength is his sword. And that's the only thing that's keeping the petrodollar afloat. All right. because it's already a liability in terms of trade, because it's not worth anything. All right, completely worthless. Okay, you see, especially for the fact that America is more of an importer than an exporter, man. You see, so it's a further omen that the Lord is removing the candle from this devil. He's removing the light from this candle. Okay, it says, how oft is the candle the wicked put out, and how oft cometh the destruction upon them? The Most High distributed sorrows in His anger. Okay, so all these reports of war, all right, including famine and pestilence. Okay, even to the point of death by way of those being affected by these rumors of wars, is all sanctioned by YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, because He's the king of terrors, man. And these people collectively don't fear Him because they don't know Him, man. Pursuing the 1 John 4 chapter. And that's why they walk around here in great pride. Okay, not knowing that within a blink of an eye and a snap of a finger, the lights can go off by way of an EMP attack. Okay, all the food that you invested in will go bad in your freezer and refrigerator instantly. And this is the sorrows YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is distributing His anger, because He's angry at the wicked every day, especially the rulers of the darkness of this world, man. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get Isaiah 33:1. And it says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. See? So these nations are done playing with Babylon, man. Okay? Which Putin's April Fool's announcement, so-called April Fool's announcement to purchase the ruble, all right, for natural resources, all right, and energy, okay, was exactly that. There was no sugarcoating that, man. Okay. All right. So, all right. So back on this article here. It's on news.antiwar. It says, France and Macron for talking with Putin. Why is France? Why is the President Emmanuel Macron of a top NATO ally, France, in discussion with Putin? The same reason why a couple of months ago Macron had said that he had mentioned that France should consider to turn away from the military aid of the arms of the West, all right, because of that whole Oxford deal that Jim Crow Joe has signed with Australia and Britain to essentially further arm Australia, and that pissed Macron off. He felt cheated. Okay, he felt like he was duped. Like Jim Crow Joe went behind his back, along with Australia and Britain. So he made that statement. So that's a further omen of the 10 toes being broken apart in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Okay, and the house of Satan being broken apart, man. All right, the house of Basra, that the proud house. Okay, it says on Monday, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki slammed French President Emmanuel Macron for speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin amid the fighting in Ukraine. Since Russia invaded on February 24th, the U.S. and most other NATO countries have abandoned diplomacy with Putin or other high-level Russian officials, but Macron has maintained a line of communication with Putin, which Morawiecki likened to negotiating with blank. Mr. President Macron, how many times have you negotiated with Putin? What have you achieved? Have you stopped any of the actions that have taken place? Morawiecki said at a press conference, one should not negotiate with criminals. One should fight them. See that? So these are rumors of wars are further intensifying, man, within the war talks that are further intensifying between these nations. Okay? Because ultimately, the stage is being set for Babylon to be destroyed. Okay? For being a whore that sits upon many waters. Okay? The well-favored harlot. And taking more than she outtakes, or inputting more than she outputs. Okay? Like a disease exacerbating resources. All right? So it's on this article, thehill.com. All right, give me a second, Bakusha. All right, jumping down here, it says, if you are under the impression that the inflation tax is only an illusion to the shrinking impact inflation has on the purchasing power of your income and savings, you should continue reading. Inflation is a real tax, just as real and at times nearly as important as the individual income tax. While inflation clearly does reduce the purchasing power of your earnings and fixed income asset values, it also redistributes purchasing power from businesses and households to the federal government. See, because the Fed is further involved with the G7, U.S. and NATO and IMF. All right, to finish implementing this CBDC social credit based score system. Okay, which is why this whole global collapse, all right, through the whole Ukraine situation being further justified for this agenda. All right, to ultimately plug everybody in, all right, to this system. And that's why down there in Jamaica, dealing with the tribe of Benjamin, you had Kamala Harris recently down there talking about how, they're down there to provide economical support. Oddly enough, around the same time where the Jamex CBDC in Jamaica was announced. Why? Because they're targeting the poor, okay, with this agenda. All right, which is Jake. Matter of fact, let me get that. You see, because these devils are that Fowler out of Psalm 91:3. Okay, the scoundrel of the earth. Okay, and they're being further. That's why Hunter Biden got caught, with his involvement, with the bioweapons labs, along with the George Soros. Okay, these devils are being exposed for their wickedness, man. They're conniving, subtle oppression over the earth, like it says in Isaiah 14:6, by way of their sword. All right, because really, war is just a further extension of politics. You see, there's because of different intricacies of war. All right. So it says Kamala Harris has pledged $30 million in aid to Jamaica. It says Vice President Kamala Harris of the United States has declared that her administration will invest $20 million in the Jamaican economy to boost economic growth and expand trade. See that? Why they aiming to quote unquote boost economic growth and expand trade? That's a key word there, or key phrase, expand trade. It has nothing to do with the well-being of you Benjamites, man. Okay? They're further using our oppression against us. See, and that's what I say here in regards to pestilence recovery. See, but I thought Jim Crow Joe said, oh, you don't have to wear your face covering no more. But I thought this thing was, come on, man. Say this is all a part of the of this agenda. Okay, there's different facets of it. All right. So I'm going to get this next precept. You see, and it's been further revealed who they're looking to control. Okay, all right, through the taxes of inflation. All right, and taxes as a whole. Okay, otherwise biblically known as usury. Okay, so I'm going to get this precept. What's that? Psalm chapter 15, verse 5. It says, "He that putteth not out of his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent, he that doeth these things shall never be moved." See, and that's why in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter, where it mentions how riches is not comely for a niggard. Okay, and a niggard is like a stingy person. That's Esau, man. Okay, where he would not be at all satisfied with blood, pursuing the Sirach 12:16. He can't get enough, man. Case in point, dealing with the tribe of Asher, regarding them Inca Indians down there in Venezuela. They had the Bank of England has the gold of Venezuela in their banking vaults and refuses to release it back to them because they are dissatisfied with how the Venezuelan government is ran. Why is that? Because they were not successful in assassinating Nicolas Maduro and replacing him with that puppet Juan Guaido. You see, and that's why even though Venezuela is a top oil producer, they're in debt. Why? Because of further fulfillment of this prophecy here, man. Okay, this devil, okay, all right, controlling the world through his wine, further resulting in debt, like it says in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, man. Dada Batya. Okay, that's why America is over $30 trillion in debt. Psalm 15:5. "He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor take the reward against the innocent, he that doeth these things shall never be moved. And that's why YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is preparing for the spoiler to be spoiled. So what's going on with this whole Ukraine situation is a further omen of the downfall of the devil, man. Because it's wicked, pursuing Deuteronomy 23:19, all right, to lend somebody money, okay, or something of worth, and then require what you lend back in interest, okay. All right, that's a wicked business practice, man. All right. So I'm going to get 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 8. See, and that's why the Lord is preparing, retribution for the spoiled, okay, who are under the curses, okay. The only nation without a military, okay, without a government, without family camaraderie, by way of the curses of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, okay, under this devil's dominion. All right. So I'm going to get 2 Ezra 15 and 8. And it reads, I will hold my tongue no more at touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things, in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cried unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Okay, and those souls of the spoiled, man. Okay, who would be downtrodden under the stranger, very low. Proceed to Deuteronomy 28 and 43, where it says in Ecclesiastes 10 and 16, 10 and 6 rather, where it says, the rich sit in a low place. Okay, so the true rich in faith, abundant in faith, by way of the Holy Spirit of this word. Okay. All right. Regarding the law, statutes, commandments, of the Holy Covenant given to our people to be sanctified and illuminated, pursuing Baruch the 4th chapter. Okay, was to be down under our enemies' dominion, man, short season. All right. That's why the book of Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter, mentions how this devil will come above us very high, sitting on a horse, symbolic of power. And that's why in slavery, okay, he was often on horses, man. Okay. All right. Regarding the slave patrols for the persecuting Jake, okay, all enough they're on in the same positions, okay, within the modern day law enforcement on these horses, okay, in regards to border patrol, the modern day law enforcement cops, we see, okay, sitting in a position of authority, right, pursuing Revelation 6 chapter, that horse, that red dragon, okay, you see. And that's why when the tribe of Levi, so-called Haitians, tried to cross the border a couple of months ago, back in August, several months ago, back in August, September, okay, they first fulfilled Ecclesiastes 10, the 10th chapter, whipping Levi like he stole something. And all he was trying to do was see the so-called American dream. You see, but this so-called American dream was never for Jake, man, because we are subject to payments, pursuing the 3rd chapter. We were brought over here, all right, to serve slavery for transgressing against the law, statutes, commandments. But now we're at the very end of our oppression, like it says in Lamentations, the 4th chapter. So we continue to cry out, and complain continually, giving YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI no rest till he restore the glory of Jerusalem. All right. 2 Ezra 15 and 8. I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cried unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Okay, and 2/3 of our people are going to react in a carnal way, all right, pursuing the 2 Ezra 15 and 16, all right, by taking swords in their hands and going out there, okay, and going to war with the government, man. You see, there's a further lack of resources I'm about to get here in this prophecy in 2 Ezra 6 and 24, all right. It says, and at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. It's actually not the one I was looking for. I actually meant to get verse. That actually, let me start up in verse 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. When you go to Walmart, case in point, know what I'm saying? There's certain items that are no longer there. Like for the longest time, you know what I'm saying? The chicken section was just completely empty. Okay, and this section where I go to get incense, that whole area where I have to get the incense is completely empty and has been for 7 months. And that's a further fulfillment of Revelation 18 chapter. So that's how frankincense and other spices and goods and services would be scarce. You see, but by way of the distribution or importing of goods into America, okay, by way of freight, okay, through ships. That's further confirms that Babylon the Great is America, man. Okay, like I often bring out when you look up that Greek word for ships, okay, it goes into I believe Revelation 18:12. I believe the Greek word for ship is gomos, which means freight. Okay, exchanged by ship. So that's not referring to the Vatican, no other place on the earth but America, Babylon the Great, and that's why the major or the docking ports, including major docking ports in America, include those in the West Coast, the top 10 of the docking ports. And that's why that whole embargo crisis happened in that area, purposely, man. Okay, for this global collapse, so they could bring forth their CHIP, their MOT to the B, man. Second Ezra 6:23 and verse 24. At that time, shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. See? All right, because the same Matthew 24 chapter mentions how love shall wax cold. So you might have a so-called best friend or even a family member, and those are the worst. Like Yahushua said, how you set a variance amongst the households, because a man's foes will be of his household, his own household. So in these last days, when there's a lack of resources, you're gonna have people plotting on people, okay? For lack thereof, and this is prophesied here. You see, all right? It's gonna include 2/3, man, because they're already brute beasts, man. Preaching in 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter. So because our people are more downtrodden than any other demographic of people, so they're really gonna be suffering because they're not circumspect, and they ultimately don't trust in YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, but rather the shadow of Egypt. Okay. You see, which is America. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and see what other is going to go. You see, and this, all right, this strife and contention is going to further cause these nations to go to war. Okay, because they're being affected. Okay, by way of their economy is being affected by this whole Russia situation with Gazprom affecting these European nations. So speaking of Poland, let me get this article here. Bring this article on Newsbreak. How Poland agreed to agreed for the U.S. to deploy missiles, to deploy nukes into Poland. All right. That's why the Poland prime minister was telling Macron, why are you negotiating with Putin? You should be fighting him. You see that? We never heard such rhetoric like this before, man. So blatantly. So blatant. Okay? Because every aspect of war is integrated, with this last World War. All right, so let me go ahead and get all right, let me get this article here. It says it's on Newsweek. It says NATO's Poland is open to hosting U.S. nuclear weapons. It says Poland's Deputy Prime Minister Jarosław Kaczynski said he's open to the idea of the U.S. deploying tactical nuclear weapons in his country and called for Washington to send tens of thousands more American troops to Europe to check the Russian threat. Kaczynski, who leads the ruling National Conservative Law and Justice Party, also urged NATO to do more in Ukraine, in particular, a peacekeeping mission and delivering President Volodymyr Zelensky the weapons he asked for, and said he is very dissatisfied with Germany. See? So these devils, they're all over the place. Why would you be against Germany when Germany is a top NATO ally? Right? And Germany is in on the ridicule of Russia regarding their infiltration of Ukraine. To prevent NATO from completely surrounding Russia. And that's why they threatened Finland and Sweden if they join NATO. All right, but Esau's Western media going to speak about these things? No. All right, because they're devils. It says the eastern flank must be better at protecting the future than before. Kaczynski told Germany's Welt am Sonntag newspaper, asking America to station 50,000 more troops, a 50% increase, with most of the total in the Baltics and Poland, which are NATO allies. Let's face it, the soldiers of the U.S. nuclear power are the strongest, stopping Russia from attacking NATO countries and provide us with the greatest security. You see? And it's the security of Esau Edom's sword, which is his blessing, that is the only thing keeping the petrodollar afloat within the global markets. Because the reputation is further caught up to them. You see? But it's prophesied in Revelation 17:6, the beast shall burn the whore. Okay? Right? The European conglomerate support of America and the West will turn on them. Or the West and NATO will turn on them. Including NATO. According to the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation, a nonpartisan nonprofit committed to eliminating the threat of weapons of mass destruction, the U.S. and its allies do not disclose the number of American nuclear stockpiles deployed in Europe, seeing that by way of that non-proliferation treaty in 1968, North Korea is further at odds with America. Because of that treaty, they no longer trust America. Because they're truce breakers, like it says in Psalm 55 and 20. And that's the MO of the so-called white man, the self-proclaimed white man. Okay, the red man. Okay? Right here, North Korea says it's prepared for long confrontation with the U.S. Okay, so these war drums just beating louder and louder in these last days. Okay? By way of the wine of Babylon. All right? Nice. Let me go ahead and get this article here. It's on finance.yahoo.com. And it says Saudi Arabia hikes oil prices further. Saudi Arabia raised oil prices for customers and as Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues to reverberate through markets. See why? Because of the supply and demand. Supply and demand is being further affected by way of the price of life going up. Okay, by the effects of this global market collapse. All right, through these through the geoeconomical war affecting Ukraine. Okay, or Ukraine used for in this case anyway. You know, because you just had a Saudi Arabia oil depot or two set on fire last week. Oddly enough, a couple of days ago, you had a Ukraine attack a Russian oil depot with two or three missiles. So is it a coincidence that there's a report that Saudi Arabia's oil prices further hiking after their oil depots got attacked, and then Russia's oil depot got attacked recently by Ukraine? No, man. Hegelian dialectic, man. Okay, we're not ignorant of these devil devices, man. But ultimately, it's YAHAWAH BAHASHAM directing the steps of mankind, and that's why we fear him, because he is directing the steps of these men for the destruction. Okay, because their names written in earth, because they're heathen. All right. You know, so we at the end of this thing, man. All right. These devils getting ready to roll out the CHIP, make it mandatory. And that's why down in Ukraine, it was further revealed that they've been further used. All right. Because they have a CBDC system known as a DIA portal, where they can tie the Ukrainian citizens' biological and digital makeups through that digital certification, through that app. Okay, including the Dragon Juice records. So everything is integrated within this agenda, okay, to collapse these economies and bring forth this CHIP, which ultimately bring forth this last world war by way of the lying wonders of this device. All right, pursuing Revelation 16 chapter is going to further anger these nations, because their well-being is going to be further involved, man, and their pride. You see? You know, that's really why China and Russia are you know what I'm saying, are coming at the West so much, because really their pride is involved, man. Because they're really in on this agenda. But it's their pride. Because the Lord has them divided. He has them raging. You see, making them think they got next. Okay? All right, well, none of you okay, going to withstand, all right, the wrath of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi in these last days. All right, because you are of the world. You see? The Lord said that his children shall eat, okay, while the masses starve. His children shall drink while the masses thirst. In Isaiah 65:13. You see? I'm going to have to go ahead and get that. So our people down there in Germany are fixing to starve. You know, you have Israelites down there, man, because we're scattered across the four corners, and there's a few camps down there. So the Lord's going to protect those men whose names are written in the book of life. They're not going to be too rattled behind that situation, because we're all going to be tried, and ultimately within the hour of temptation, okay, that CHIP is going to be in the midst of us, man. You see? But Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is going to give those whose names are written in the book of life, okay, the strength within the Holy Spirit, okay, to withstand the wiles of the devil. All right? And because this devil knows, okay, that time is not on his side. And that's why he's coming down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time, slapping mass sanctions on Russia and such nations. Okay? You know, threatening other nations with sanctions and whatnot, India and so forth, North Korea. But the weak are saying they're strong now in these last days, man. Matter of fact, you get that. Joel chapter 3. I'm going to go ahead and end it off here. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaiming this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. That's what we're seeing in these last days. Poland, popping off, resulting in as a result of Russia, threatening Babylon. And more so, this prophecy referring to nations that oppose the wine of Babylon. North Korea, you see. You got France standing up to Babylon. Okay. And so forth. The list goes on and on, because the world is getting tired of this devil. You see? Right here, Jeremiah 15:23. Bring this out. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. And it reads, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right, by way, all right, of her wine of fornication. Okay, making the nations that are drunk of this wine mad. You see, now that they're sobering up off this wine, they want to vent their frustrations on she who issued out this wine. You see, so this hammer is being broken, man, by Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, the sword of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi on the left hand side. Psalm 17:13. Arise, O Lord Yahawah, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So the Lord is disappointing this devil internally, man. Okay? All right? Compromising every aspect of his agenda internally before that judgment is manifested externally, all right, within Yahawashi's return along with the angels, man, to overthrow him from power. Okay? Come with these wicked devices, man. Okay? So I'm going to end it off there. Give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. All right. Forgive me the spirit to do this video. All right. Allow me to withstand the wiles of the devil within this second and third installment. And which I pray was, within this lesson was further edifying as well to the lambs and sheep of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Because we're at the end of this thing, man. There's the last few major prophecies, and it's a wrap. You see? So, and these are the beginning of sorrows, man. The food price is going to further skyrocket. See? All right, so shalawam to Akim Akwath. All right, the water for your resilience. Sticking with your brother. You know what I'm saying? Through this, this spiritual onslaught by Shaitan and his wicked dominions and forces, and these nerds sitting behind YouTube messing with our platforms, but it's all good. It's a part of the conditions of the battle. Like it says in 2nd Ezra 7th chapter. But the water for tuning in. And may Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right, shalawam to the elect. We almost out this bitch. All right, shalawam.